Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And, well, today is Monday Fun Day.
I stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image of me that you're used to. I look money, a king bee making honey, see? Each state, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round, I'm the new sheriff in town. All my people rise up and stand your ground. Now drink up all the Diet Coke you got on your shelf. So just let me introduce myself. My name is Trump D. I like my mashed potatoes lumpy. Fake news, oh how I like to punk thee. That little sniper on the slope tin. He took a shot but he missed me. I don't fall, y'all, I'm like the ever-ready bunny. Still going strong and spunky. So put on your big boy pants. Come on, do the dance.
The Trumpy dance is your chance to do the Trump.
Come on, do the Trumpy Trump. Come on and do the Trumpy Trump. Check me out, y'all. We do the Trumpy Trump. Just watch me do the Trumpy Trump. Yeah. Do you know what I'm doing? We do the Trumpy Trump. Come on, everybody do the Trumpy Trump. It's time to do the Trumpy Trump. Yeah, my favorite.
That's right, folks. Today is Monday, Fun Day. We're having a good old time here today. Mike is caught out of town, waiting to get home, man. Unfortunately, Mike is not going to be joining us today, so you're going to be here, I'm going to be here, and we're going to talk about the news and have a good old time, despite the fact that Mike is not with us. But that's all right, though. We're going to have a good time. Let's get into it. Start the way we usually do, and that is with a quick shout-out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Now, they make rifle and pistol caliber barrels, and they're available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. If you purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels. Why not get another one? Then we've got the folks at the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to find out why. Just visit their website at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Next, we have the folks over at Hog Holsters. That's HAWG Holsters. They like helping Americans wear guns. They have the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. In fact, by the way, they want to help Americans wear guns so much, they're willing to give you a discount. All you have to do is use the discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there. And you're going to get your Hog holster on discount today. And then finally, if you're looking for new gear, you got to start at uscombatgear.com. Trust me, that is a place where you'll find all things tactical except the gun. Whether you're looking for hats, whether you're looking for boots, whether you're looking for pants, whether you're looking for belts, whether you're looking for backpack, you're looking for, you name it. Like I said, they have all things tactical except the gun. They have a huge selection, very competitive prices. Once again, you got to find out. You got to find out by going there. Once again, uscombatgear.com, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. Also want to encourage you, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the 2A newsletter. 2A newsletter. You will find it at 2anews.us. It is the place to go to get all of your Second Amendment news. Whatever you are looking for, trust me. I'll tell you, in preparation for this show, I'm constantly looking for news, right? And that's what made us decide that we wanted to go ahead and get this site started. Because we want to have a place where, rather than having to go to a bunch of different websites, you got one place. In fact, it's not just one place. The one place is your inbox, right? All the stories that are going on, everything that's going on in the Second Amendment community, you will find here. You'll also find even the mainstream media, when they write stories dealing with the Second Amendment, you will find it. You go on here and you will find deals, you will find vlogs and blogs, you will find the whole kit and caboodle, including, by the way, the rundown. You'll find it all there at 2anews.us. Sign up today, because here's the thing, folks. The best part about it all is it is absolutely free. That's right. It is free. Want to also, by the way, encourage you to remind you, if you are watching the show during the 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast or the 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, then you are watching us live. And we would love to get your comments. We'd love to hear what you think about the program. We'd love to hear what you think about, anything. Go ahead and let us know. And by the way, I don't care if you agree with us or you agree with me or disagree with me. In fact, I encourage you to disagree with me, because then that gives me the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
Now, were Mike here, he would definitely go out of his way to, encourage you to try. Because, we don't mock you because, we're mean. We do it because it's entertaining. And, the most important thing about this show is that we're entertained, or at least that I'm entertained. Usually a little more entertained when Mike is here, but hey, you know what? I deal with what I deal with. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's stories. And this first one, I have to tell you, I want to say that it surprises me, but it doesn't. And it has to do with NBC did a story recently to talk about how many Americans are basically saying that the Stars and the Stripes, the American flag, is now kind of a red flag. And I'll tell you the story, and then we'll talk about why I'm surprised, why I am not surprised. I'm disappointed, but I am not surprised. Because I think this, once again, this says a whole lot about kind of where we are right now, right? Where we are as a nation. Anyway, moving right along. So this is the piece that's over at NBC News. Let's see if I can pull this up here. There we go. All right. So it says here, as the nation turns 250, many Americans say the Stars and Stripes are now a red flag. Oh, what do you mean? The American flag, to some, it's Old Glory. To others, it's MAGA hat on a stick. To fly or not to fly an American flag. No, to fly or not to fly an American flag. That was never a question for Bruce Watson, who has put his national pride on display for years and nudges neighbors in his small New England town to do the same. I'm very proud of our flag, the writer said. It's the symbol of we the people. But as the polarized nation marks its 250th birthday, Watson, 72, worries his Stars and Stripes may now need an asterisk. If we do fly the flag, we will also put out signs to make it clear we are not MAGA, he said. The American flag is a symbol, striped with many meanings. Striped with many meanings. Whether it's hung on front porches, waved in parades, protests, and World Cup matches, or stamped on lapel pins or boxing trunks. Like so much else in American life, it has also been tangled up in politics and policies of President Donald Trump. NBC News asked readers who share their feelings and practices around the flag in a moment. Poll suggests when patriotism, national pride, and optimism for the country's future are all fraying. Like Watson, some say the flag can be taken as an endorsement of the current administration. For others, it is tied to any one party, but it is a way of life. Flipping the flag. Rather than not fly the flag, several readers said they plan to show their patriotism and protest Trump by flagging it upside down to signal the country is in distress. Donald Trump has turned everything upside down, so it makes sense our flag should be upside down, said Dina Bannock, 61, who lives outside Des Moines, Iowa. It's a shame. We used to be a proud nation. Now our country is in distress. Trump supporters, such as Dave Kavanaugh of Munson, Massachusetts, questioned such protests. The professional woodcarver is so devoted to Trump that he is busy chiseling a statue of him that right now sits partially finished on his front lawn. Quote, I couldn't be prouder to be an American, Kavanaugh said, 49. I believe Americans should be proud to fly the flag and fly it the right way. What's shameful is that people who hate Trump are flying the flag upside down. So let's see here. So there's the statue. For those of you who are watching the program, there's the statue, and there's the flag, the one he's called. Now, some people are talking about flying alternate flags. Like you have some people who want to fly who want to fly like the pride flag, right? You have some people who are in fact doing that. You have some people who are going to fly military flag, or some who are going to fly. Anyway, they're going to fly a bunch of different stuff. But the point is, the whole point behind this is, and we talked about this. We talked about this last week. There are people out there who, because Donald Trump is president, they are now ashamed to be an American. And the first issue that I have with that is, all they know is they just don't like Trump, right? And I get not liking his personality. I can see his personality, at least his public persona, is very abrasive and very off-putting. I get that. But my question is, what is it about, what is it exactly has he done that is so offensive, that is so beyond anything? Let's see. He's enforcing our borders. He's fighting to make sure that we're safe by making sure that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. He's fighting against nations that are against drug cartels, or heads of drug cartels. He's arrested one, in fact, that are pushing drugs into the United States. He's going after those individuals who are providing or selling oil to our enemies. I just think that what has happened is the left and the media is complicit in this, because they're so focused on the personality that they ignore the policy and the policy successes that this president has had, whether it be in his first term, where he took what was an economy that was languishing somewhere around 2% GDP, or economic growth, and he pushed it to its upper limits, right? For the first time in over a generation, we actually saw real household wages go up for the first time, and it went up for everybody. There were historic lows in terms of unemployment across the board, including for groups that have had stubbornly and statistically high unemployment for years, including Black and Latino communities. He's the first president that actually didn't make historically Black colleges and universities come back and provided them with more funding than any president before him. I can't say after, because Biden did come in and kick down some cash. He could not be out. He decided he was not going to be outdone by Trump when it came to providing funding to historically Black colleges and universities. But my point is, this is a guy who, after Biden was letting in like 2.5 million illegal immigrants a year, about 200,000 a month, he shut down the border. I mean, we're talking to where illegal immigration is almost nothing, right? He brought the historically high inflation. It was up around 10%. He brought it down. It's not where we'd like it to be. It's gone up a little bit because of the war in Iran. But what gets me is that the people don't have an issue with it. They don't like the policies, but what they really don't like is Donald Trump. And they act like, because he is our president, well, I'm offended. And now they hate America. And we just saw the polling numbers last week. Basically, where they are basically Democrats, people who are Trump haters, are ashamed to be American because he's president. Now, I didn't like Joe Biden, and I had absolutely no respect for the man as president because his policies were so wrong-minded. He had ran as being a moderate, and he turned out to be a leftist. Well, he wasn't really a leftist. The people working in his administration was a leftist. He was just out to lunch. That was the other reason why I had no respect for him, because he mentally was not there, was incapable of doing the job. I didn't like Obama. I hated his policies. And I thought the man was a liar, because he too ran as a uniter and became a great divider. In fact, race relations in this country were at historic highs before Barack Obama. By the time he was done, we were a deeply divided nation racially, and still are. But with all that being said, I never stopped being proud of being an American. I never stopped believing in the symbols of this country. What is it with our friends on the left? Why is it that they have such a hard time? See, the thing is, and what I believe it is, what I believe partially what it is that this is what the neo-Marxists, this is what they do, right? They need to get you emotionally invested in hating someone. And because they don't have the policies, right? Most of the people are not with them on their policies. Let's just be honest. Most people know and understand that you can't have upwards of 30 to 40 million illegal immigrants in this country, right? They know that that's a bad thing. We know that you can't just let in, up to 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants. You can't just let them into the country, not know who they are, right? And they know you cannot do that, right? Most people know you shouldn't have pornography in elementary school libraries, right? Most people know you shouldn't be teaching or talking to little kids about adult content, about adult things like sex and sexuality. Most people know that. Most people agree with it. These are the 80-20 issues that we talk about all the time. But they're wrong on the issues. The Democrats are wrong on the issues. The Marxists are wrong on the issues. So, in order to capture you, they're going to go after the guy who they're like, they don't like his personality. They think he's a jerk. And I wholly agree. President Trump, many of the things that he says, they don't show him in a very good light. They don't. Especially, by the way, when the left and the media take what he says, lie about it, manipulate it, give you small snippets out of context to misrepresent what he's saying, then I get it. You're going to think he's a jerk. But I've learned, and you can say this is wrong. I've learned I mostly judge him for what he does as opposed to what he says. I think if President Trump has a weak spot or a downfall, I think it's that he doesn't stop to consider how others will take what he says. He says it thinking one thing, thinking this is what I mean, and it's taken a completely different way. And then when you add to that the fact that it's manipulated, that it's deliberately manipulated and misinterpreted, well then what do you do? And he doesn't adjust for that. And some of it, by the way, a lot of it is self-inflicted wounds. A lot of it is stuff he didn't really have to say. The fights he didn't have to pick, but he chose to pick them anyway. Anyway, I'm not in this to talk about why Donald Trump is a bad guy. I will still, to this day, I look at the job that he has done as president, and I can't think of an individual who has done more good as president than President Trump. I can't think of one. And by the way, that includes Ronald Reagan, because a lot of what Ronald Reagan did was great. It was good, but he did it over 8 years, and right now we're 5.5 years in. Right? He had 4 years. He did a phenomenal job. And by the way, in his second term, he's outdone his first term. And there are not many, if any, presidents who have been as successful in their second term as President Trump. Almost none. Jason, I'm on the show. Hello. You want to come and say hello to everybody? Come here. See, I have my studio here at home, and my grandson decided he's going to come and sit here and kind of come into the studio. So say hi to everybody, Jason. You going to say hi? No? Okay. All right. He's got some stage fright. So go ahead and go. You got to go, dude. Okay. Love you. You got to go, dude. I need you to go. Go ahead. Your dad's got you. Anyway, back to the program. Anyway, back to the program. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, in the end, he's done more. He's done more in his second term than I can think of any other president has done in their second term. And by the way, once again, that includes Ronald Reagan. Anyway, moving right along to our next topic. The Supreme Court has ruled on mail-in ballots, on whether or not mail-in ballots can be accepted after Election Day. Now, a lot of people are mad about this. A lot of people dislike this, and they're losing their minds because two of the justices decided to go with the liberals on the court. Let me see here. I'm trying to find. Here we go. So it was a 5-4 ruling, and this is being reported by the folks over at Breitbart. SCOTUS rules 5-4 to permit counting of mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. Supreme Court ruled that that state laws allowing for counting of mail-in ballots after Election Day are not in violation of federal law, a blow to the Republican National Committee and President Trump's administration. On Monday, SCOTUS ruled a 5-4 ruling that permits states to count mail-in ballots sent on or before Election Day that are received by state election officials after Election Day. Justice Comey Barrett wrote the majority's opinion, joining Chief Justice John Roberts, as well as Justices Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Two principles are important here. First, post-election day receipt, considered on its own, does not conflict with Election Day statutes, the court writes. Now, I think this is from the decision. It says, second, state law is preempted by the federal Election Day statutes only, quote, so far as the conflict extends, end quote. So even if plaintiffs are right about Mississippi law, they would still lose the challenge if they pressed in this litigation. That post-election day ballot receipt is itself unlawful. The framers recognized the difficulty from crafting election laws, quote, applicable to every probable change in the situation of the country. So instead of constitutionalizing election law, they decided that, quote, a discretionary power over elections, end quote, needed to be lodged somewhere. Suffice it to say that power was not lodged in this court. The Election Day statutes say nothing about ballot receipt, and we cannot add those words Congress choose. Justice Samuel Alito filed a dissenting opinion, joined Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch. Justice Brett Kavanaugh joined most of the dissenting opinion as well. Quote, the court concludes that the Election Day statutes merely require that each individual cast a vote on or before the day, Alito writes for the minority. But if that is all that Election Day statutes require, then there is no sense in which the electorate as a whole can be seen making its choice on Election Day. Rather, the electorate's choice would be made piecemeal over an extended period prior to Election Day, and that prospect is blatantly contrary to what Election Day statutes demand. Election Day is specified date, not a span of multiple days. The Election Day statutes require that federal elections occur on that date. Under the challenged Mississippi law, however, the collection of ballots continues for 5 more days, and therefore the election is not held until the end of that period, because federal law requires that election occur on Election Day. It preempts Mississippi statute. Now, I hate to say this, and I'm sorry, but to me, a lot of this, The biggest issue is not so necessarily, for example, in the state of, I think it's Missouri where they're talking, or Mississippi. It's really in places like California where everyone gets a mail-in ballot, right? The problem is, the real problem is the problem that it creates by sending everyone a mail-in ballot, by then verifying everyone's signature and not counting until election day. You create a situation where it takes them weeks to verify an election. A process that should be able to be handled that day, a process where most states take care of it that day. Where what they do is, yes, you're allowed to do a mail-in ballot, but one, you have to request it, right? You don't just get one sent to you. So when you request one, then that's a whole different story, as opposed to sending everybody one and not even, and by the way, not doing nothing to try and clean up the voter rolls. Now, the reason why, let's be honest, the reason why Republicans want to address this is because mail-in ballots, especially mass mail-in ballots, creates a tremendous opportunity for voter fraud. And the people who generally tend to engage in voter fraud are Democrats, or at least they're left-leaning. And by the way, they're also the ones who tend to mail in their ballots later, right? They do these things called ballot harvesting, which is also part of the problem. Because it really, I mean, ballot harvesting, anyway, becomes a whole chain of custody thing. The other issue that ballot harvesting creates is you have these folks, and literally there's a group right now under investigation because they were caught going to people on Skid Row, paying them, giving them gifts to get them to register to vote, and then to actually get a mail-in ballot, and then helping them fill out the mail-in ballot. And when I say helping them fill out, I mean voting for them. That's the accusation. And they're under investigation for that. And that's how, in many cases, the Democrats steal elections. And by the way, they don't care about whether or not they actually get enough, that they actually win or get enough votes. All they care is to get enough votes to win. Their whole goal is to win the election so that they can get and maintain power. That's their thing. By the way, quick shout out, American Crossfire. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always appreciate you. But this is, anyway, so I don't see this as dire as I think some folks do, although the media is always going to play it up because they hate the president. So any opportunity to make him look bad, which once again, I'm going to say this, for those of you who keep saying on the left, who keep saying, oh, well, this court is in Donald Trump's pocket. Well, here's another decision. And this is, by the way, not the first decision that this court has made against Donald Trump. During this exact term, they've made at least, there was this ruling, they ruled against him on the tariffs. They ruled against him. He wanted to get rid of one person who was on a federal commission, couldn't get rid of one, but was able to get rid of another. These folks are making decisions based on the law. They're making decisions based on the law, as opposed to, trying to be in Trump's pocket. I know y'all don't see it that way because no one's going to go out now and say, oh, well, look, the Supreme Court's in Trump's pocket. I dare you. Go ahead. This is the decision that definitely didn't go his way. But I know some of y'all don't care. Some of y'all don't care. Anyway. All right, this was one, and I thought, so there is a city down in LA County that actually was looking at charging $1,000 for a concealed carry permit application. Well, they would not be outdone. They would not be outdone by the city of San Jose, or by San Jose, they're looking to charge folks about $1,500. And by the way, keep in mind, in California, you have to apply every 2 years. That's here. It says San Jose, California is already home to the most expensive concealed carry permit in the state, but the cost is going to climb even higher on January 1. Right now, the city charges applicants a whopping $1,491 to obtain permission to exercise their right to bear arms. But on Wednesday, the rate will increase to $1,591. The city isn't the only jurisdiction in California to charge four figures to exercise a fundamental civil right. Santa Clara County, where former Sheriff Lori Smith was convicted by a civil jury for running a pay-to-play scheme involving rarely issued may issue permits in a few years ago, is still doing its best to keep the number of active permits low by charging $976 for the initial application fee, along with more costs for mandated psychological testing and firearms training. California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Second Amendment Foundation are suing Santa Clara County over its fees, and if a judge rules the county out of line, then San Jose's fees could be on the chopping block soon after. As the groups alleged in their initial complaint, the high price to apply for a permit is undoubtedly going to have a chilling effect on residents exercising their rights. Okay, there's two things I'm going to say here. One is, it may have a chilling effect, and it will definitely have a chilling effect on people applying. But here's the deal, folks. First of all, let's be real. Criminals are going to carry guns. They're not going to get a permit. I don't care if the permit is $100. I don't care if it's $50. If someone is a criminal and they want to carry a gun, they're going to carry a gun. The only people for whom this may chill are the law-abiding citizens. And it's going to chill them in one of two ways. One way is going to be in which they're going to opt not to carry a gun because they're not going to be able to or not going to want to pay $1,500 every 2 years to get a permit. That's a lot. When you consider that, first of all, firearms tend to cost more here in California, when you consider that, and then all the other things that go into owning a firearm in California, you're going to get a lot of folks who are going to decide, yeah, no, I'm just not going to carry. But then you're going to get some folks who are just going to say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about being in compliance. I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to carry. And they're going to ignore the law, and you're going to take law-abiding citizens and turn them into criminals. And I think that's the real goal here. It's not that they don't want people to carry guns. They want people who want to carry guns. They want to turn them into criminals so that they can make it so that they can't own guns. That's their goal. Does not surprise me one little bit. Anyway, that's what's going on right there. Yeah. Anyway, so, and by the way, once again, this is, you need to think about how cost prohibitive that is. And by the way, you also have the state of California that wants to require you to take a training class just to be able to have the right to own a gun. So now you add, okay, I got to take a class to be able to buy a gun. I got to take a test, which I got to pay a fee for, in order to own a gun. I also now have to buy the gun, and I have to go through a background check to buy the gun, which costs money. And if I want to carry it, now I got to go take another class so that I can carry the gun and do another background check, which costs money. How is someone who is, California is probably, right up there. If it's not if it's not the most expensive or unaffordable state in the country, it's one of the most unaffordable. As expensive as it is, who's got the additional money to be able to pay this? Seriously, who do you think is going to be disenfranchised? The people who probably need to be able to carry the most are the people who are most likely to be disenfranchised. And sadly, there is just no way around getting people to understand that very important issue. Because for a lot of people, they don't exercise the right, so they don't care. They've chosen not to, so they just don't care. Anyway. Okay, we've talked about this guy before on the show, Mr. Wiener, Scott Wiener. Sorry, he is a liberal left-wing. I can't think of any other ways to say this. I mean, this is a guy who has promoted some of the most evil legislation. He's the one that pushes for pornographic materials in schools. He's tried to decriminalize the possession of child pornography. He's worked to decriminalize having sex with children. Um, you name it. I mean, he's tried to decriminalize, prostitution with children or offering a child for prostitution. He's tried to make that a misdemeanor. It's just, dude is just a bad dude. He is part of the LGBTQ, and he's just a, all I will say is this: is that if he is promoting some of the most perverse stuff out there, but evidently his positions on those issues was not enough to save him from being ridiculed at the Trans Day parade for all the evils that he is guilty of. The one that got him in trouble this time was being Jewish.
And I see on the genocide in Gaza, and I think your policy on the genocide in Gaza is terrible. I think you belong here. You do not belong here. You do not belong anymore. It's because you trans people terrible, and you've been terrible. You've been terrible on Gaza.
Yeah. Once again, I will continue to say this. The very people who are there who are screaming about Gaza would be thrown from a roof in Gaza for being gay or being trans. They would. For advocating for homosexuality or for people being trans, they would be thrown off of a roof. Anyway, this is the thing. When your entire identity, and this is the thing, the entire identity of the left is to not be Donald Trump, to not be conservative, to not be Republican. It is literally to tear down the system. That's all they care about. And it's interesting to watch them implode and eat their own. When I watched as Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, as I watched him get shouted down, and it was funny because I'm watching and it's like all these, young, upper middle class, rich to wealthy, white, Democratic socialists all chant that he was next, that they were going to get him out of there. Chant that at a black man. I'm like, yeah, they don't care. They do not care. They're how do I want to put this? They only care about socialism. And if you ain't a socialist, you ain't one of them. And what they fail to understand is that when socialism comes, it's going to come for them next. And then I'm watching the Democratic Party, and I've told plenty of my Democratic friends, I'm like, look, if y'all don't get a handle of this in your party, they're going to take over. They're going to take over the Democratic Party. And if you look at it right now, that's where all the energy is on the left. It's all the energy on the left is with the wackos. And the thing is that I'm just wondering, those of you who are the only saving grace for the Democratic Party is that there's a bunch of people who don't believe in the stuff that the wacko left believes, but they hate Donald Trump more. And so they'll vote for the craziness. They'll vote for the wackiness, or they won't believe that it's real. But now you look at it, you're seeing it right there. It's in front of your eyes. How do you not see it? They are telling on themselves. How do you not see it? Time for y'all to wake up. Time for y'all to wake up. All you blue dog Democrats out there, it's time for you to wake up. Because if you don't, oh man, it's not going to be good for America. Let me be real with it. It's not going to be good for America. We have to have two functioning parties. When I say two functioning parties, I mean that, that are debating on the political issues, on the actual issues, that aren't demagoguing one another, that aren't demonizing one another, that aren't so focused on hyperbole that they forget policy. Right? We need to do that, right? We need to get that. Here's the thing. I know plenty of Democrats who are wrong. They're not evil. They don't intend evil. They don't hate America, but they're wrong. And in a lot of cases, it's because they've got bad information. In other cases, it's they are blinded by their hatred, by the seed of hatred that's been planted in them against Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump so much they can't see past it. Either that or they just believe everything that the left tells them. Maria, watching from Facebook, says, that's a great question. How do they not see it? Maria, I said, well, like I just said, one, in many cases, you look at what the media is saying. The media is not telling the whole truth. Now, the media, I'm not going to say that the media is getting better, because the media is not getting better. It's the other side is now saying the quiet part out loud. That's why you're hearing more about it. It's because they're saying it out loud. It's because the Democratic socialists are now calling out the Democrats for not being socialist enough. That's what they're seeing. And it's a little hard for them to get away with it. They're having a real hard time getting away with it. Because the average person is like, but here's the problem. They're not so fed up yet in some cases that they're willing to leave the Democratic Party. But many of them are. And many of them have. Here in California, we've seen dramatic switches in registration. Despite the fact that conservatives are leaving California in droves, we've still seen massive swings in terms of people registering Republican in California. It ain't a purple state yet. It definitely ain't a red state. We're not a purple state yet, but we're seeing numbers dramatically change. I mean, we saw 12 counties switch last election from voting Democrat to voting Republican. That's pretty significant. I don't know that we're there yet to turn everybody around, but we're heading in a better direction. And the main thing that we can do is not give in to the crazies, because yes, on the right, we have our crazies too. We do. I hate to say this, but we do. Not give in to the crazies. Not get so focused on the traditional culture war issues that we forget about the current culture war issues that, by the way, we are massively kicking their butts on. Massively. Yeah. Maria also said, I'm so glad to hear we're heading in the right direction. Yeah, I am somewhat hopeful, although I don't know. I'm praying we will see it happen in our lifetime here in California. I doubt it, but I'm trying to be somewhat hopeful. Anyway, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holster today. This first one here, this dude is hilarious. In this particular one is basically, if you can combine an Iran joke and a war in Iran joke and World Cup soccer, I think you've got a winning combination there. Check it out.
They had Iran at the World Cup and they put them in the official Pride Month match. Which is, that's how you know there's a God. That's crazy funny. That is also very American to do, to go to war with a country and then be like, also, you're gay. You're gay!
Yeah, that's a very Trump thing to do, actually. That is a somewhat Trumpian thing to do. Why? That's kind of mean, though. Now, granted, I'm sure we didn't make that decision. But why would you put Iran and Egypt in the official Pride Day game? Anyway, hilarious. Speaking of Pride Day, by the way, our next few are going to be brought to you by the folks over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust. And we're going to start with this one here. Nervous speaker at Pride event relaxes by imagining the crowd fully clothed. If you've ever been to a Pride event, then you kind of know why that's funny. All right, next up. Woman rules, it's okay to be late. That's an interesting one. That's Amy Comey Barrett. And here's the next one. Here we go. James Bond granted license to kill anyone with an air conditioner. I don't get why that. Well, I guess it's because of their climate laws. But, a lot of people, hundreds of people die every year in Europe because they don't have air conditioning. And then finally, and this is my favorite one of the day, Democrats furious Trump would make Haitians leave most racist country on earth. If you don't get the irony of that one, I don't know what to tell you. You need to get a funny bone. You're taking yourself way too seriously. All right, folks, so that now brings us to our parting shots. Not parting shot, we did parting shots. We're now at the end of our program, and we're going to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. The conscience of the Republican Party, the California Republican Assembly, check them out at cragop.org. The best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. And finally, we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. And that would be at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. We will be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.